He just likes to put it on the gas pedal and go. You really do see the potential. Yeah, and you have to be encouraged when you have a young freshman quarterback.
Great awareness by the special teams group.
He's been here before. He's been on this stage. He's going to look to get into the end zone more than just one time.
Fumbled! What a play, hitting the legs, making sure he didn't get far. This is a business trip, and they definitely came in here and took care of business. But he's seen a wide open lane with nothing but linebackers in his way and decided to just take off.
And here we go.
And let me tell you something. There's just something about college football that differentiates itself, and it's a beautiful thing. This is the Dylan Brachna Show, a college football podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the program. This is the Dylan Brachna Show. I'm Dylan Brachna with you as always. Episode 3. It's going to be a good episode. We're going to start off with my predictions from last week's games of the week. We went 1-3. Rough week for the predictions. But we have Lycoming College getting the win over West Connecticut State. That is Lycoming's second win of the year. And I predicted WestCon to win 42-35. Lycoming won 42-24. So I was close on the score at least. Seton Hill topples Gannon 28-14. I thought Gannon was going to take the win 24-21. In Division I FCS football, Sacred Heart fell to Montana. I thought Sacred Heart was going to win 38-35. They fell 43-21. And South Florida, I got right. 48-13, the Bulls topple the Owls. But I thought the score was going to be 52-24. Like I said, it was 48-13. And let's get directly into our top 25s. Starting with Division III, North Central, Mount Union, John Hopkins, Salisbury, Bethel, Hardin-Simmons, Wartburg, UW Platteville, UW Whitewater, UW River Falls, St. John's, UW La Crosse, John Carroll, Central, Christopher Newport, Carnegie Mellon, DePaul, UW Oshkosh, Hope, Wheaton, Barry, Cortland, Randolph, Mackin, UW Stoughton, and Adrian. I'll have those all right around this area. I had the point at the monitor to see where I was pointing. Nonetheless, that's your top 25. Adrian sneaking into the top 25. They are undefeated currently. Division II, Ferris State, Harding, Kutztown, West Florida, Western Colorado, Pittsburgh State, Central Washington, Minnesota State, CSU Pueblo, Augustana, Minnesota Duluth, Northwest Missouri State, Indianapolis, Virginia Union, Findlay, Ashland, West Alabama, UT Permian Bassin, Delta State, Angelo State, Johnson C. Smith, Southern Arkansas, Benedict, Newberry, Grand Valley State. Division I FCS, North Dakota State and South Dakota State still 1-2. Tarleton State, Montana and Montana State, UC Davis, Lehigh, Tennessee Tech, Monmouth, North Dakota, Jackson State, Villanova, Rhode Island, Mercer, Lamar, Presbyterian, Harvard, Southern Illinois, Southeastern Louisiana, Illinois State, Youngstown State bumping up from 21. They were 25 last week. And Northern Arizona at number 22, Austin, PA, Stephen F. Austin, and then Albaline Christian. And at the end of this Division I FBS ranking, after I read it through, I have a bone to pick with the AP Top 25 poll. Things might get a little heated as I'm going on this little rant I'm about to go on. But what's about to occur is what I deem as unacceptable. All right, we have Ohio State at number 1, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Oregon, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Miami, Vanderbilt, BYU, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Texas Tech, Missouri, Virginia, Tennessee, South Florida, Louisville, LSU, Cincinnati, Texas, Illinois, Arizona State, and Michigan. And here's my little rant about the AP poll. So USC lost to Notre Dame, right? Whatever. They dropped out of the top 25. That's not the issue. Oregon loses to number 3, Indiana, and dropped 7 slots down. That's not the issue. You want to know what the issue really is? It's the fact that LSU is still a top 20 school. They lost. They have no good wins. They lost to number 17 Vanderbilt last week. They were number 10 last week, and they're still number 20 in the country. They have 0 quality wins. Not a single one. They beat Clemson week 1, 17-10. They beat Clemson by a touchdown. Clemson is horrible. Clemson lost to Syracuse. Why is LSU a top 20 team? No good wins, 2 losses. Oh, who'd they beat? Who'd they beat? South Carolina. Oh, well. Southeast Louisiana. Oh, well. They don't have any quality wins. I don't think they have a single ranked win all year. Let's check the schedule here. Okay, like I said, they started the year beating Clemson. They beat Louisiana Tech by 2 scores, 23-7. They beat Florida 20-10. I don't remember if Florida was ranked at the time of this game or not. But, oh well. They beat Florida. Whoop-de-doo, by 10 points. Florida's not ranked anymore. They beat Southeast Louisiana, like I said, 56-10. Oh, well, whatever. It's Southeast Louisiana. They fell to Ole Miss 24-19. They beat South Carolina by 10 points. They lost to, like I said, what was a number 17 Vanderbilt. They were number 10. 24-31. You're telling me that's a top 20 football team? In the country, nonetheless? And, like, okay. LSU's not the only issue, right? You want to know another issue I have? How is Ole Miss still a top 10 team? Didn't mean to hit that. Like, please explain to me how they're a top 10 team. They were, number 5 last week? And they just lost to number 9, Georgia, and they're only number 8? I could see them being in the outskirts of the playoffs, which is the top 12. I could see them being number 13, maybe number 12, number 11, potentially. But when you're ranked number 8, when you just lost to a school who was ranked multiple slots lower than you in the top 10, you're not a top 10 team. The AP poll is SEC biased, and if nothing shows, this does. The comparisons from the last 2 weeks' top 25 poll are going to be right here. I'm also going to put schedules, wins and losses, all the good stuff. I'm going to do my best to try to put it all in this area for you guys to see why Ole Miss is not a top 20 football team or a top 10 football team. Are they a playoff team? Oh, absolutely they're a playoff team. They're definitely getting in. But here is their schedule so far. They beat Georgia State 63-7. They beat Kentucky 30-23. They beat Arkansas 41-35. They beat Tulane 45-10. They beat LSU 24-19. They beat Washington State 24-21. And they fell to Georgia 35-43. Okay, yeah, they won all those games beforehand. But what in this picture screams I'm a top 10 football team? Not a 3-point win against Washington State. Not a 5-point game against LSU. Not a 6-point game against Arkansas. Not a 13-point game against Kentucky. None of that screams I'm a top 10 team. Yes, they're winning these games. Yes, they're winning these games. But that's not the point. The point is they're squeaking out of these games that they should be blowing teams out based on their AP ranking. I'm spitting everywhere. They're not blowing these teams out of the water like they should be. Washington State should have had a chance against Ole Miss. Neither should have Arkansas. Neither should have Kentucky. Like, these teams should not have been within a fighting shot. And here's the remainder of their schedule. They play Oklahoma next week. That's on Saturday. Noon kickoff. Oklahoma's a very good football team. Then they play South Carolina. Then they play Citadel. And then they play Florida. And then they play Mississippi State. The only game that you should even have a chance of losing in the remainder of your games is against Oklahoma. There is no strength to this schedule whatsoever other than Georgia and, okay, maybe LSU. Tell me what in the world. Like, I'm speechless. It makes no sense to me. Anyways, there's my rant about the AP poll. I think they are very SEC biased, and if nothing shows, that certainly does. And I feel like there's so many other good teams and other conferences that deserve to be in the top 25 that aren't because of teams like LSU. Anyways, let's jump into our games of the week for this week. Division 3, number 19, Hope travels to number 25, Adrian, Michigan. Adrian sitting at 6-0, Hope sitting at 5-1. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. Prediction is Adrian's going to get a win. They're going to go to 7-0. They're going to win 48-21. Adrian is a very solid football team and just has dominated everybody in every aspect of the football game. Hope, they've been in a lot of close contests, but I don't think they're going to pull one off this week. Number 12, Grand Valley State for Division II football travels to number 1, Ferris State. Grand Valley State's 4-2. Ferris is 7-0, and I think Grand Valley State's going to get blown out of the water. Grand Valley State has been in some close games with a team that Ferris State has just beat up. Ferris State's going to take it 35-14. At the FCS level, Duquesne is sitting at 5-3, traveling to Wagner. Wagner sitting at 1-6, and Duquesne's going to win this 59-7. Duquesne has just been pouring it on some of these teams, and I'll show you some of their schedule here. But who did they really lose to? They lost to Pitt. They lost to Akron. They lost to Lehigh. Those aren't 3 losses you should be ashamed of. And they have been pouring it onto teams that aren't on their level. And our FBS game of the week is California traveling to Virginia Tech, 5-2 Golden Bears against the 2-5 Hokies. Cal's going to win at 24-10. Cal's been in a lot of shootout games, are able to pull away from a lot of them, and it's vice versa for Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech, like I said, has been in a lot of shootout games, but has been losing those games. Also got blown out by a few teams that it should have been a little bit closer with. So give me Cal with the win, 24-10. And that's all I have today. Right after I stopped this recording and I'm doing some editing, I don't have stats pulled up. I couldn't get them. I guess I couldn't get any websites working while I was doing this, so I couldn't get stats for the games of the week. But I'm going to go through and edit. I'm going to pull. It's going to be almost like a little slideshow presentation off to the side here. It's going to take up the entire screen, obviously. But I'm going to fade this out, and I'm going to fade into our games of the week. I'm going to fade into some highlights, and I'm going to show stats. So you'll see. What you'll see is the highlight playing, and then you'll see some stats under it, and then the stats are going to switch in and out. But like I said, I really just couldn't find stats at all because none of the websites were working when I went to take my notes. So you will see stats. You will see highlights. Don't worry. But that's going to do it for me. Like I said, this is the Dylan Brachna Show. I'm Dylan Brachna. Thank you all for watching as always. Make sure you subscribe down there. Comment what teams you want to see in the games of the week for next week. I think it's going to be a really fun week of college football. That Cal and Virginia Tech game is on a Friday night, which is going to be awesome to watch while I'm at work. Give me something to burn a little bit of time, I guess. But yeah, that's all I have. Like I said, thank you all for watching. Stick around for the highlights and stats of our games of the week from this last week. Next week, it'll be back to the normal format, hopefully. Fingers crossed. But yeah, comment what you want to see. Games of the week next week. Comment how you feel about the AP poll. You already heard my statement on it. I'm disgusted with it, to say the least. And the only reason why I'm so mad with it is because I'm passionate. I'm passionate about college football. That's plain and simple. I've played football for 15 years. I just had to give it up last year due to injuries, due to concussions, stuff like that. I don't want stuff building up in my future life. But I really, this is the last time I'm going to say it, I promise. I don't think Ole Miss is a top 10 team, and I don't think LSU is a top 25 team. Maybe at number 25. But I feel like just because their name is LSU, they're still there. I'm not going to get back into that rant. I'm just going to get heated again. But that's going to be the episode for today. Like I said, stick around for highlights and stats, and we'll see y'all in next week's episode.